currently revealed in Mecha Break based on how me and others early testers have felt during the test. Originally, I wanted to make a how I feel in the early test video, but many people have already done a really good job at that, so I'll just link them down in the description. And this goes without saying that this definitely won't be accurate as it is just a test and we only play it for about 3 hours. But I think this is something that can be very fun and give people insight on how each mecha might be played. I'll also be answering some common questions as I go along the way, since a lot does tie into the gameplay. I'll also only be talking about the revealed mecha so far, there were more during the test, for example this one, but since they are not really revealed in the official sources yet aside from these glimpses, I cannot talk about them. So let's get started. First we have, what is this guy called again?
Alli.
First we have Alli, and straight up, I'll put this in S tier right now because holy crap, it can do almost everything. It can tank with his shield, with his armor, and basically I got revived, and also do huge damage with its melee attacks. It also have a good amount of range in it to keep the enemies moving or just wear the enemies down, so you can go in for even more damage with a melee attack, or you can just go straight in with a melee attack as well. The only real downside I can see about this guy is that maybe it is a bit slow when he has his armor on, and maybe during its revive mode it does have enough damage output compared to his armor form. But those downsides, those downsides exist in, like for his armored version, the downside exists in, many of the armor mechas as well, and for its revive version, even though it couldn't do as much damage output compared to its armored version, it is still very aggressive and can still do a lot more damage compared to certain other mechas. So yeah, definitely definitely immediately I'll put this guy in S tier because it just have everything, and unless they nerfed it, I'm pretty sure this mecha will just be in S tier or at least A tier in most other people's tier lists. Actually, in fact, I'm gonna put the revived version of the Alli in A tier with its armor version in S tier, just to show how strong it is. So, and then we have Falcon. Now, Falcon is definitely one of my favorite mecha in this early test. The transformation into the plane are just so good. But I do have to say though, although Falcon can do pretty good damage, high mobility, and all that, I'm gonna put it in probably A- or something along the line. It's definitely not B because the thing about Falcon is that in some mode it would definitely be beyond S tier, but in some mode it will probably fall into B if not less, because like for example, if there's a mode where you need to take a certain things to like where you need to escort or take certain things to another location, you can see how broken Falcon is in that mode. But let's say if you're in a smaller map where you need to hold a spot or something, you can see how Falcon might fall short in that department, compared to some other mecha. So it's kind of, so for me it's kind of like it can do good damage, right? It can do good damage with its missiles, with its, even its gun, and it can also just evade pretty well with its, or just get to places very well and just dodge attack very well with its high movement speed. But in a smaller map, the high movement speed might not be as useful, because enemy can just auto lock onto you and just potentially shoot you down pretty easily because you're in the air and everyone can be targeting you. So yeah, it's like in some mode it's S tier, in some mode is probably B or below. So I'm gonna put it in about A-, just so it's not that high. And another thing about Falcon is that, so a lot of people ask about, oh, the boots seem to be very, very long. Like the boots in this game seem to be lasting. It seems like you can perform a lot of actions without going out of juice, right? Which is true. And it's something I like about this game is that you can pretty much do a lot of high action. That can do a lot of flying. You can do a lot of movements without without going out of boost, like certain games like a computer game like Armor Core or like Gundam Versus. But even though you have a lot of boots, when you are out of boots, you are very screwed. which I think is also a good thing. Where if you are, dodging, or if you're spamming dodges, or just moving a bit too much, you'll get heavily punished, because now you're not out of action per se, but your mobility will be severely hindered until you regenerate all the boots back. And the boost regeneration are much slower than the previously mentioned games. So, and this would especially be tough for Falcons, because Falcons are the only mecha that, in my opinion, that can really run out of boots, that also really needs the boots. I think this kind of balance, Falcon out on, um, compared to, on the on the mobility things, where Falcon couldn't just run away and just win, and just pretty much get an advantage on every encounter. So that's why I'll put Falcon in about A minus. Its damage output is actually really good. I was comparable with, well, the damage output is definitely really good. However, it's definitely not as much compared to some mecha that specifically for doing DPS, like the one that I talk about, and compared to mecha like Tricera and stuff like that. And it obviously also couldn't tank as much. Can have any, aside from it doesn't have any defensive abilities, it also is the target of everyone, because everyone can see you flying, right? And some well-placed shot can potentially kill Falcon. I even had a time where I was flying in the air doing all those high-speed maneuvers, and the Lyses literally just somehow got to me and just full combo me twice, and I'm just dead. So just to show that the pros and cons of Falcon. So. Alright, and now we're gonna talk about
Tricera.
let's talk about Tricera, the minigun one. Now Tricera, I think, is definitely high A tier, if not S tier, because Gatling gun. What am I supposed to say? It's as long enemy are in the range, as long you can hover your little circle over them, you can just start blasting them with miniguns. It will do pretty, like most. One question that I did get from the video is that it seems like some of the weapon, especially the range weapon, actually doesn't do as much damage, which I do feel that as well. But the things with Tricera is that it just shoots you with so much bullet that it will start doing damage after just a little while. And if the enemy is not trying to get out of the way from you or trying to attack you, they can die pretty quickly. If Tricera focus fire on them, especially when it gets in shield mode and starts shooting you with its rocket launchers or its bazooka and stuff like that. So, and it also got but another thing that's very strong about it is that it can go into its little siege mode where it will have shield around them, and that shield is very, very powerful. I believe it's all around, like I believe it does cover you from all the sides, and if you're in a 1v1 situation against another mecha, you can probably kill the mecha before the enemy, you can probably kill the enemy mecha before your shield run out. That's just how strong the shield is, and how strong the firepower Tricera is. Tricera will also especially good if you're fighting against mecha such as Falcon that's flying in the air, or some other mecha that may be flying in the air, because it's Gatling gun, you're not gonna dodge everything, and you're gonna slowly get wore down and die, basically. In a team setting, this mecha will also be very good, because because it can use his Gatling to wear the enemy down to break his armor, and then some other DPS units can go in for the melee and just kill the enemy pretty quickly. So. Or he can just kill the enemy all by himself. That's also a very very high possibility. So I'll put this guy in high A tier. The only reason why I didn't put this in S tier is that I don't think it have the raw power, or I guess I don't think it have the raw power to kill certain kill mecha that kill Lyses with when it comes charging at you with its melee, especially if it doesn't have this siege mode, and also a Lyses, if they face against if this guy face against an Lyses can pretty can just run away, right? They can just shield and just run away, and not engage in the battle if he thinks it will lose his battle. So that's the reason why I don't put in S tier, because Alexis can have the mobility. It can just get away, if he wants to, while shielding all the shots. So, yeah. Alright, so that should be about the Tricera. Now let's get into Narukami. It's a sniper unit, the pink sniper unit that is shown in the PV. Now, Narukami is definitely one of the favorites for a lot of players. A lot of people love the fact that they can snipe in this game, and the snipe can actually do a good amount of damage if you charge it full up. From the dev, I think you can literally kill Falcon in like 1 or 2 shots if you just do it right. If you just place if you just place some good shot on Falcon. So and it also got really good skills that will fit with the snipers. For example, area cloaking, you can just be stealth. It'll be area stealth that you can stealth herself as on your teammate. Now, I'm not sure how useful it is to. I mean, it's always good to stealth a teammate, but unless the other teammate is also the sniper, I wouldn't think that staying in one place for a mecha is really a good idea. So it also have some really unique things like beacons that can prevent enemies from or can steal the enemy's luck, which is very interesting. It can get the snipers a few more shots in before she gets attacked or before she gets snipes, which can be very, very strong. And yeah, I will put this unit in high A tier because well, actually I'll put this unit in A tier because I think in some mode, like for example, if the map is a bit small, it can be screwed pretty easily. Like for example, an Allices, a Panther, or a Falcon can just go into you and just be a hassle for you to deal with. But if you're in a longer map, if you're in a longer if you're in a bigger map, then this sniper can be very, very strong because you can snipe people from afar, and most of the time the enemy couldn't really do much to you. And let's say you snipe a Falcon, or you miss a Falcon, and the Falcon is coming towards you. You have time to potentially kill that Falcon before it gets into you. So that's also something that can be very good in a large map. So I'll put this thing. So I'll put this sniper in A tier just because not many mecha can do anything against the snipes if she is in a really good position. And even if the enemy saw you and about to come towards you, you can still have the chance to kill them before they get to you, or have teammates come to you to protect you from from the melee units or from the Falcon and stuff like that. So. And then we have Alright, and then I'm gonna talk about Panther. Now, Panther is the mecha that most early testers agree are a bit underpowered because, it's in my opinion, it's very strong in a 1v1 situation, but it doesn't have. I believe it's full melee, and I believe it's almost full melee. And I didn't say though. Like how do you say? It can do. I think in a 1v1 situation, Panther can be very, very strong. It got some counter. It got some special melee that seems to be very strong in 1v1 because it can like kind of force grab the opponents or just like force stab the opponents, right? So, but however, its damage output, at least during the beta test, is definitely not as strong as things like Allices or potentially some and potentially some range mecha even at close range. The only time that Panther can really shine is that, for example, if Panther notice he got sniped, or if Panther are very close with the range. So if Panther are very close with a sniper or with like a range mecha, then I think Panther can make quick work of the sniper or the range mecha. But if Panther is in the same place as like a Lyces or like a Tricera, Panther are not gonna win most of the time. And although it's 1v1, things are very, very strong. Like, it in its thing is called line breaker, which, sure, yeah, but the thing is, in the team setting as well, right? Because Panther doesn't really have any range option. The only thing it really have is a little wing shield, which is not nearly enough for, sometimes for Panther to get into the enemy, especially when other units also have some defensive shield and abilities. Um, I don't think it can do the job as a line breaker really well in a team setting, because you're not really contributing to anything, and if you just go into the enemy lines, you can potentially just be focus fire and just die. So yeah. The only thing I can see it being good is that if it has stealth or have some sort of things where that make it kind of become an assassin, I think it can be very, very strong, because it can just go behind enemy lines and just stabs enemies on range, or just stabs enemies loners and stuff like that. It can usually win on that You can usually win in that counter. I got destroyed by Panther before because I was using a Tricera and the Panther got very close to me, and it can just like chain combo me to death, which is very strong. But I can also see that if I have a teammate by me, then Panther is gonna get screwed, because Panther doesn't really have any thing to prevent it from being destroyed if, in a 2v1 or even in a 2v2 situation. So, or probably not in a 2v2 situation, but definitely in a 2v1 situation. So, yeah. So, I'll put Panther in about high B tier, or so I'll put Panther in about B tier because, yeah, it is just quite underpowered. Like, it doesn't have the defense abilities compared to Tricera, doesn't come, compared to Tricera, compared to Allices, and it doesn't have enough damage output, compared to Tricera, compared to, Dialysis, or compared to some other mecha. It's just underpowered all around, basically. And I think the problem doesn't lie around its damage per se, it's more about its playstyle and the weapon it has. It also have weapon switch, which is like good, but you would do a combo and you had to switch the weapon and doing a combo. Doing the weapon switch, you might be getting hit or you might be getting comboed instead. So yeah, it just probably really relies on its playstyle and not its design, I feel like. Or I guess the problem is not like itself, but it's more like how this game is gonna work. Like, it's not gonna like if it doesn't survive a 6v6, it's not gonna survive a battle. It's not gonna survive a battle royale. No chance. No chance. Unless it gets stealth, which I think will be a very useful unit for him. It gets stealth. It go behind enemy lines, or just assassinate units. That can be very, very strong. I think that'll be very, very strong. I think that's what it needs. Something that can get into enemies' lines without it just being killed, immediately. So yeah. So I'll put this in B tier. And let's get into the next one. So the next one is Welkins. Now Welkins is also an S tier, in my opinion, because it have pretty much a lot of things that, like, it's similar to a Lyses. It got this melee weapon that can do huge amount of damage, so you don't need to worry about the damage department. But different from a Lyses is that it does have ranged weapon that give a good amount of oomph as well. It have the laser cannons that can potentially trace down, Falcon in the sky, or some, units at long range, to potentially, make them either change space, or, try to get close, or just, get in cover so you don't get, sniped or something like that. So a very, very strong, I guess, anti-range tools if the enemy is at a long range, where, for Lyses, if you get sniped or if there's an enemy at a longer range, you either have to use a shield to get closer to enemies, or you have to use a shield to, get out of the enemies and, go do something else, right? But for Welkins, you don't need to do that. If enemy is out of range, just use your laser cannons to, snipe them, or to, or or to attack them. And if enemy is in close range, you can use your little shotgun things to pretty much stun them, to do huge damage to them and stun them, and then you can go in with a huge melee axe to just destroy their HP bars. So it's pretty much a Lyses, but more heavy powered. Yeah, just even more heavy powered. The only downside is that it doesn't have the revive, that comes with Lyses, where the revivers of Lyses are also strong. But it doesn't need that in my opinion. Like it's like the only reason Allices are S tier is because it had the revive, right? But Welkins is just S tier because doesn't Welkin is basically S tier, but it doesn't need the revive to be the S tier, I should say. Yeah. So yeah, Welkin very very strong. And yeah, I don't it's just a powerhouse. It's just like oh actually yeah. During the beta test, we usually just played we only played the 636 mode, and just to show how strong Welkin is, we went six Welkins and we completely decimated the enemy teams because the enemy teams was a good balanced team. Like there's different units in there, but we just went six Welkins and we completely decimated them. Well, the main reason was because you know how in the like in the beta like in the test footages, Welkins is shown to have that little, square box that can either trap enemies in for Welkins to do damage to, prevent enemy from escaping, or or prevent enemy from shooting Welkins. Now that skill have a cooldown, I think, during the beta test was around 15 seconds. Now, let's say there's a mode where you need to hold a certain spot, right? Um, and if the enemy couldn't get into the box, and you have like 3 Falcon on that point, you can potentially just cycle through the you can potentially cycle through the box to prevent the enemy from ever going in the point. It's a completely broken strategy, and especially that, and if the enemy is somehow in the point, then you're not gonna defeat three. You are not gonna defeat 3 Welkins, and the enemy are not gonna be able to help you because we're constantly in the box. So just to show how strong Welkin is and how broken it is if we just go full Welkins. If we just go full Welkins, we can just completely decimate enemy because that if the enemy is at a long range, right? Or if the or say if there's like a few Falcon in the sky, Welkin can just shoot his laser and just completely destroy the Falcons. And if enemies try to get close, we can just shotgun in their face and just melee them. So yeah, I do have to say though, even though Welkin is strong in a 1v1 situation, I believe even because Panther I think is really strong in the 1v1 situation. So if the Panther is strong enough, then maybe it might give Vulcan some trouble. And I think in a 1v1 situation, Alliances can potentially kill Vulcan mainly because Alliances have a revive, right? Vulcans can get Alexi in like an infinite combo or something like that, or just constantly be damaging him and until it's revived. But because Alexi have that revive, it can potentially also pose a challenge for Vulcans in a 1v1 situation because the revive are just too strong. It's another life, and you can become much faster, and you could and your melee become much stronger as well, which is not. It's not as strong as its armor version, but it's still very, very strong. It can potentially, kill Panther or kill some other range unit with it. So probably not Welkin though, but just heads up, I guess. Yeah. Still, Welkin, powerful. It's as strong as it's as strong as you can see in in the trailer and stuff like that. Now, lastly, we have the healer mecha that is the Lumina, I think, or the Lumine. Now, Lumine is the mecha that I'm a bit iffy about because both me and the other early tester doesn't really have that much experience for them. But from what I've heard, that they will put Lumine in about B tier. It's like hovering around A tier, A minus or B tier, because not many mecha in this game can heal. So having a healer on the field can be very, very powerful. However, people also say that it doesn't seem to do much, I guess, in certain modes. Like I believe it was in the catcher, or I believe in certain modes where you hold a spot and stuff like that. I believe in certain modes at that this unit just really doesn't do much. And obviously, because it's a healer, its damage output is also not that powerful, right? But in certain mode, it's definitely A tier, if not S tier. Just because it can heal. But of course, in some modes, it is just not that useful. But it is a healer, so I'm gonna actually rank this a little bit higher than Falcon, where Falcon is also S tier in some modes, but B tier in some modes. Same thing with Lumine, but because Lumine is a healer that it's pretty it's like it can prove very strong in a team setting. So I'll put Lumine just slightly above Falcon on its usefulness and on its usefulness because who knows. and especially with some team setup, like imagine Elyses with some healers, right? It can be very very powerful, or Welcome with some healers. That can be very very powerful. So yeah. So and I would say I would say the healer would just be, the rules of other healers in other games, like say I don't know Overwatch or some other games. I never played them. I don't know if it's true, but that's just my guess. It would just be a healer's rule in most other games. So yeah. I do wish that it have some more offensive ability, like maybe just give it a little sniper. It doesn't have to be as strong as the one that the Nanakami had, but something in the long range that can help maybe, but maybe it'll be too powerful. So yeah, just so. Alright, so that should be it about all of the reveal mecha that we have. So this is the tiers that I have. Obviously, Lyces will be S tier. Welkin will also be S tier, and then on A tier we have the Lyces Revive version, and then we also have Tricera, and then on like A minus we have the healers, and we have the Falcons, and then and for the snipers we have also at A tier. So A tier is like actually you know what, I'm gonna put Elyses, Tricera, and the sniper on A tier, and I'm gonna put the healer and the Falcon at B tier actually, and I'm gonna put Panther as C tier. So this is a tier list in my opinion, based on my experience and based on some of the early testers experience that after we I guess talk about it. So and of course this tier list is not gonna be accurate. It was just a test. It was only 3 hours, so we never tap into like the true potential of each mecha. It's just how we feel and how we think, how it might work in the mecha. So yeah. Alright, so this should be so I think that's everything. So in conclusion, right? This game is definitely worth the hype. I'm pretty sure Panther's problem or some other mecha's problem can be like, I'm pretty sure a lot of problems can be solved at during release. Like for example, Panther's underpower problem, or like the Falcons problems where it is strong in certain mode and not strong in certain modes. I think all of these can be fixed if they are willing to in the final release or in alpha. So yeah, hopefully hopefully everything is good, I guess. Yeah, I don't know how to end the video, so I guess just and of course if you guys have any questions, just comment down below, or you guys can join our Discord, because my Discord is definitely, because I am definitely going to be playing this game once it release quite regularly on stream or making video about it, so definitely stay tuned on that. And I also have a community that will definitely willing to play this game. So if anyone want to join our Discord, just hang out and play with us once this game are released. The Discord link are also in the comments and the description. And I also do want to plug in that I am also doing some other content in my other channels. So if you guys are interested in that, definitely go into the description and see the other content that I am making. So. Alright, so that should be it about everything. I think I talked for way too much. Thank you all so much, and goodbye. So.